Support for Central Florida Public Media comes from UCF Continuing Education, offering professional development and corporate training services for the modern workforce. UCF Continuing Education provides a range of courses and workshops available in person or online, designed to enhance skills and knowledge in various fields. More at ce.ucf.edu.
In 10 years of arming kids, bionic prosthetics have come a long way. You're listening to The Wrap from Central Florida Public Media. I'm Molly Durig, in for Brendan Byrne. 10 years ago, fitting kids with prosthetic arms used to be costly, inefficient, and understudied. Elizabeth Bayless is the mother of a 12-year-old girl who was born with a limb difference, only having one arm. In the last 10 years, she says her daughter has had a number of prosthetics that disappointed.
We would go and we'd say, she needs a hand to do this, or she wants an attachment for her bike. And there were like adult-sized things, or just people that really didn't know the skill of making pediatric prosthetics, right? And then they weren't functional. They didn't do anything.
A lot has changed in 10 years. Bayless now drives 3 hours to a robotic prosthetic company in Orlando, one of the labs in Central Florida to show vast improvements in the science of pediatric prosthetics. That's ahead on The Wrap. The big stories this week from Central Florida Public Media. But first, these news headlines. After decades of adding fluoride to its drinking water, the city of Tavares on Wednesday voted to stop, citing public feedback and health concerns. As Central Florida Public Media's Marion Summerall reports, both President-elect Trump's nominee to lead the Department of Health and Human Services, as well as Florida Surgeon General Joseph Ladapo, have spoken out against fluoridating water, helping to reignite local debates.
The motion for removal during a city council meeting on Wednesday came when the Surgeon General for the state of Florida and professor from the University of Florida came forward to suggest the harmful impacts of fluoride, including lower IQ levels and higher ADHD levels in children due to prenatal exposure. The motion vote was originally postponed in early December. Prior to the meeting, Councilmember Troy Singer was for fluoridation, but after hearing from professionals and the public, he changed his mind.
The majority of the people that I've spoken to in the city of Tavares, they do not want the fluoride, so for that reason, I will be voting to remove fluoride.
While dentists during public comment defended fluoridation, saying it helps maintain healthy teeth among children and adults, the majority of comments were against fluoride in the city's water supply. Marion Summerall, Central Florida Public Media.
The Orange County Board of Commissioners Tuesday agreed to directly pay employees who work in the Supervisor of Elections office. The move comes as the head of that office is being accused of overspending and mismanagement. Central Florida Public Media's Luis Alfredo Garcia has more.
$782,000. That's the Orange County Supervisor of Elections Office's cash deficit, according to a report from the county comptroller. In recent weeks, the county decided against releasing more of Glenn Gilsing's budget due to concerns over spending and mismanagement of money. District 6 County Commissioner Mike Scott says right now, the priority is to get the employees paid.
I'm so afraid of these people not getting paid while we duke it out in court and everybody's going back and forth filing motions. And also knowing that the holidays coming up, payroll deadlines for whether public companies are, things are due Friday and Thursday for any organization.
The comptroller's report also noted that in just 2.5 months, Gilsing has spent more than 50% of his annual budget. In a statement, Gilsing blames both the mayor and comptroller and accuses them of trying to score cheap political points at the expense of taxpayers. Luis Alfredo Garcia, Central Florida Public Media.
The Florida Public Service Commission is deciding whether to grant a request from the Sunshine Water Services Company to raise water and wastewater rates. And customers in Central Florida are weighing in. The proposed rate hikes would impact customers of the private utility in Lake, Marion, Orange, Polk, and Seminole counties. At a hearing Tuesday night, customers argued Sunshine hasn't done enough to address existing problems with water and wastewater infrastructure. Gabby Milch says she wants to see more transparency from the utility.
If you have the opportunity to invest in a system and get money out of the system, then I would like to see a better job and an accounting where the public, the customers, actually know what is being fixed and what some of the problems are.
The PSC says commissioners will decide on Sunshine Water Services' request early next year. More local news stories on our website. Visit www.cfpublic.org. There's there's a big top circus tent right in the middle of downtown Orlando right now, where performance troupe Cirque Mechanic is putting on its show Winter Holiday Shop. Chris Lashua is the builder, planner, and head physics defier for the troupe.
We are an all-human circus presentation that is theatrical and mixed in elements of clown and dance and storytelling with high-level acrobatics.
Hear more from that Spotlight segment on our website, www.cfpublic.org. 10 years ago, prosthetic arms for children weren't practical to make or use. Creating hand and arm prosthetics is challenging for engineers due to the tiny specific movements hands create. Kids grow quickly and can outgrow engineering arms. Replacing them is costly. But the robotic prosthetic community has advanced a lot in the last 10 years. Central Florida Public Media health reporter Joe Mario Pedersen tells us many of those developments have come with local organizations helping lead the way.
Eloise Bayless is 12 years old. She plays soccer, she fishes, and plays 5 instruments. She does all of that and more with one hand.
I'm one of those outdoor kids. I'm not one of those who stays inside all day long. I love playing Nerf guns with my friend next door, Caden. And I'll draw. I love playing video games too.
Eloise does a lot of things. In the last 10 years, she's had a lot of prosthetic arms too. Her mother, Elizabeth, says 10 years ago, there weren't great options.
We would go and we'd say, she needs a hand to do this, or she wants an attachment for her bike. And there were adult-sized things, or just people that really didn't know the skill of making pediatric prosthetics, right? And then they weren't functional. They didn't do anything.
For the last 3 months, Eloise has been using what she says is the best prosthetic yet, a hero arm from the company Open Bionics, which allows her to lift 30 pounds and grip things tightly by twitching small muscles near her elbow. Those twitches activate sensors that manipulate the robotic fingers. Here, Eloise is explaining how she has a bit of fun with her friends by grabbing a hold of their hands.
I like it a lot because I break my friends so hard at school with it.
What do you do?
Oh, I just do this to them. And they cannot get out no matter what they do.
The Bayless family drove 3 hours from their home in Cape Coral to the Open Bionics clinical lab in Orlando, where engineers developed an arm just for Eloise. Today, they had a special gift marking 3 months without an issue since she got her arm.
Are you serious? This is so cool.
In partnership with Disney, Open Bionics gave her turquoise attachments 3D printed in the style of the movie Moana 2, complete with the Te-Fiti's heartstone on the back of her hand. Detailing prosthetics with well-known characters for pediatric limb loss patients is becoming more common.
That's always our hope, is find great partners who want to be able to use their storytelling abilities so that kids can identify and relate to those.
That's Albert Monero, president of Limitless Solutions, a nonprofit research facility over at the University of Central Florida, specializing in bionic arms for kids. Limitless began 10 years ago after Monero and his team found that children had difficulty accessing prosthetics.
They could be too heavy, too expensive, they need to really grow with the child.
3D printing answers that issue.
Dan Ferris is a professor of engineering at the University of Florida. He says that a little over 10 years ago, the advent of 3D printing changed what was possible for pediatric prosthetics. 3D printing material was light, cheap, and easy to make.
Because you can just quickly and easily replace parts to change the size without having to totally redesign the whole package.
At Limitless, Monero started with a team of 15, but it's grown to over 60 staffers, 57 of which are interns, including students who design video game software as a fun way of teaching kids how to trigger the small muscles in their arm to better use their prosthetic. In combination with 3D printing, Limitless also added an injection molding machine to create more durable parts.
We're now able to injection mold those fingers is because the fingers used to be too brittle and too fragile.
Limitless and Orlando Health recently signed an agreement that beginning next year will give more access to prosthetic arms to kids that, like Eloise, allows them to live more full lives. Although for Eloise, she's still getting used to using 2 hands. She's figured out how to play piano, but she still hasn't figured out video games.
How do you even play a game with 2 hands? Do I grab?
Joe Mario Pedersen, Central Florida Public Media.
That's it for the wrap this week. We're taking next week off. The podcast is back January 3rd. Happy New Year. This podcast is produced by Central Florida Public Media with assistance from News Director Latoya Dennis and Digital Director Brian Ellison. I'm Molly Durig, in for Brendan Byrne. This is The Wrap.